Welcome to the Pineapple Perspective. I'm your host, Troy Hooper. This show is sponsored by Pepper Lunch Restaurants. And as always, we try to find these industry experts and folks in the business that are doing something to make our industry better. And today is no exception. We have a fantastic guest, and we're going to talk about all the things that his company does to help the industry. And I know lots of friends and family and others in the industry that use his services. But today we have Avi Goren. Avi's the founder and CEO of Mar-KEE with two I's at the end. And we're going to chat a little bit about his business at the end. But welcome, Avi. Good to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate you having me on. And that's right, we couldn't afford the U when we started, so it's Marqii.
Aye. So we'll get into the history and why you founded and what Mar-KEE does. But Avi, you're no stranger to this business. I've been seeing you and getting to know you over the last few years on the circuit, so to speak, out at the conferences and events. And I've actually rode in a vehicle with you back from dinner at RLC. It was the last time I physically shared a space with you. But I know you know a little bit about this industry, and there's a reason that you're in this business the way you are. So let's get started as we always do with the show. Tell the audience, what does hospitality mean to you?
Yeah, it's a fun question. Look, I think it's evolved for me over the years. I think if you had asked me kind of 5 years ago, it was hospitality's comfort. It's welcomeness. It's feeling like you're at home, right? And that this is my space. I'm with my people. I can be myself. I can laugh. I can cry. Whatever's going on in my life, I can do here. I think recently it's almost evolved more to this next level of extra thinking, right? Going that extra mile. What's that thing that I'm going to get out that I'm not going to get in my home, right? And it's kind of finding this in between wherever you're at. And hospitality is going to mean something a little different depending where you're at. But for me, it's that mix of I'm home and also that extra mile.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've not heard it described that way. I think that's pretty cool. Where did that thesis, where did that belief come from? Give us a story about whether it was your childhood or something that happened to you in life that sort of formed this understanding. How did you get to this thought process?
Yeah, I think the reason I kind of associate hospitality with comfort and being home every Sunday growing up was we went out to a restaurant. My dad had board meetings during the week and life was just crazy, but Sunday dinner, we went to a restaurant. Now, look, I'm a child of the 90s, so that restaurant, more often than not, ended up being Cheesecake Factory, um, where I was the runt of the litter, so I was never getting any of the bread, not at least on the first go around. And it was at these dinners that it was me and my family, right? It was that extension. It was just us being us, but at Cheesecake Factory. And then it got to a point where we were actually going with some of our best family friends who, fast forward 20 some years, and he's my co-founder, Evan. Him and I grew up together. We were going to Cheesecake Factory together. We were going, and it's in the Source Mall on Long Island, and we would just run around being kids, and just, you felt like this was my home. And there was just something about that comfort level that you would get on these Sunday night dinners with your people. Again, laughing, parents asking you about homework, what's going on, why did this happen? And it just became this really organic, natural extension of our kitchen, right, of our dining.
Well, thank God you live near a mall, because I wasn't aware there was that many Cheesecake Factories on Long Island. I'll tell you that. I spent a lot of time out that way. My stepmom was from Melville. I spent a lot of time in Islip, so I know the area. Not a lot of cheesecakes on every corner, but yeah, at the mall, totally makes sense. You're pretty fancy, man. I grew up, it was either Friday nights at the Pizza Hut buffet or
Ooh.
Saturdays my grandmother would take me to Burger King. And boy, if I got a chicken sandwich and a milkshake, I was a happy camper on a weekly basis. So pretty bougie over there at the Cheesecake Factory, my friend.
Well, nothing like the double fun burger, let me tell you.
Yeah. So Avi, tell us a little bit about your history. Let's get into a little bio. How did you end up? Don't start with where you are, but end with where you are in being a co-founder of a restaurant SaaS product. But how did you get into hospitality? How did you find your way here?
So I had this look, the way my family dynamics kind of set up, I am the only one who didn't go to grad school in my family. All right. All my brother's a lawyer. My mom got her master's in education. My dad's a rabbi. He spent 8 years in rabbinical school. I mean, I'm the only one who didn't get that master's level degree. And growing up, I felt like when I thought about what my passions were, and this is going to sound a little weird and cheesy coming from what was a 7 or 8 year old, it was business. I love the idea of creating something and building something and working with people and solving a problem, right? And for me, I didn't know what that problem was going to be, right? And I grew up, my grandfather, who my parents are from Chile, in Santiago, Chile. My grandfather owned multiple businesses in Santiago, and I kind of had that little bit as a role model and kind of seeing what it could be. And as I got older, the same thing kept coming back to me to bringing me joy, and that was food. And that, again, you talk about comfort and the happiness I had. And for so long, I thought, and going through high school, I was like, I'm going to open a restaurant. That's where I need to be. I worked at a place called De Coco's in Oceanside on Long Island, which, in my opinion, top 10 pizzeria in New York, which makes it probably top 20 in the world. De Coco's is a staple in Oceanside on Long Island. And I did everything there, from cashier to making pizza to eventually making real money and being a delivery driver, which is a lot of cash. And that was it. I was like, I'm gonna open a restaurant. This is what I need to be doing in life. This is what's bringing me joy. And fast forward through school, I worked at a bar. I actually made sandwiches and would sell sandwiches to people and all sorts of fun stuff there. And I ended up working or getting, I went to the wrong job fair senior year of college and met Yelp. And everyone hold back your emotions. Yes, I worked at Yelp. And it was there that I spent 2 years really seeing the digital side of restaurants. And this is 2012. So Groupon mania is sweeping the nation. No one understands the concept of, it's not free coupons. You're paying for this. You are paying for Groupons. But it was this incredible time in 2012 where just you're watching restaurants and hospitality learn the true digital side. Because iPhones were not iPhones yet. Near me searches were coming in 2012, right? And I got to see this evolution of website developments and the Yodels of the world who were selling mass websites to SMBs. And I was watching Olive Garden make their ads. It was fascinating. And I figured out, hey, this is the side of the business I need to be in. I don't just love eating at restaurants. I love operators. I love restaurateurs. These are my people. These are the guys and the people who are out there hustling and making things happen so that you feel good, so that you have a place to go to celebrate or to feel better or to have your guilty pleasure. And after Yelp, I worked at an enterprise software in the city, in New York, for those of you listening, in Boston, New York City. And that was where I really saw this opportunity of, hey, if you're not McDonald's, you don't get access to this level of tech. You're dealing with off-the-shelf tech stacks. Nothing's speaking to each other. Nothing's working with each other. And this early idea started to form of, how do we make things communicate in restaurants? How do we make sure that when you update a menu in Toast, that's going to trickle through to everywhere it needs to live? Because no one, I guarantee you, nobody opens a restaurant saying, hey, I need to manage my hours on Google. Hey, I need to make sure my menu data is correct. You open a restaurant for a passion, right? You open a restaurant because you got grandma's meatball recipe and I got to get this out into the world. And so the deeper I kind of went into that thought process and train ride, I saw this opportunity to solve a problem in an industry I love. And I'm fortunate that 8 years later, after I took a bunch of wrong steps and myriad of fuck ups along the way, I hope we can curse on this show.
Oh yeah.
We're still here and thriving and getting to work with hospitality groups and solve pain points every single day and learn from this industry.
So you went straight from working at Yelp to this idea of Mar-KEE and then just started working on it. You found a niche and a need and you just started building.
So after 2 years at Yelp, look, I was 25. I am a millennial. I felt burnt out. Poor me. I was working for 2 years. So I went and I backpacked with my then girlfriend, now wife. We went back to South America where my family's from. We backpacked for about 6 months, budgeted really well, not for when I came back, spent every last penny we had. Again, my grandparents were there, my cousins, everybody. So we went through Chile and kind of on this journey thinking about what I wanted to do next. And the early ideas of Mar-KEE started to form. It was called Best Of at the time. We were going to be the specials focused app. Again, it was starting to kind of form. And then when I came back to New York and living in my parents' basement with my fiance, which is exactly where you want to be at 26, Evan, who I mentioned earlier from Cheesecake Factory, was working at this enterprise software company in the city. I was like, hey, this place is great. You got to come check it out. And I ended up getting a job there, worked there for about 2 years. I was hired by Brian Rakowski, who now is my CRO and third co-founder. And so the three of us all kind of met and worked together there. And it was while I was there the whole time, I'm just saying to myself, I need to learn everything I can from here. This is a group that has created an incredible culture. These are leaders at this company who clearly care about their people and how they're doing things, and they care about their customers. So this is where I need to learn. So I absorbed everything I could. And basically, when my wife was tired of hearing me talk about what Mar-KEE could and should be, she finally said, go, quit and make something happen, or just, I can't hear this anymore, so go. And yeah, it's been since August 2016, been zigging and zagging and working on this thing.
All right, take us inside these enterprise tech companies scenario. Everybody's got to know. All of these companies spin out from the Googles and the Facebooks and the the YouTubes of the world. All these early employees, and they all get together, and all of a sudden, three people from this company went and founded this amazing new company. So here's my question: are you guys talking about this shit on the clock in your off, over the foosball table, or is this over beers and pizza after hours? I just want to know, where do these companies get formed when you're all working at a company and you leave and suddenly you have a new company startup? It's startup mania out there.
Here's what'll happen.
Take us on the inside.
You have this dream and vision of an idea, this early inclination of something that could be great. And after about 3 or 4 months, you know who your people are. You know, like, hey, this is someone that works their ass off. This is someone that'll be a good yin to my yang. This is someone that I'm already eating lunch with this person and playing ping pong with this person and going on coffee walks with this person. Let's go from dating to engagement. Let's make something happen. Yeah. So first you find your A players, right? Who is someone that I know who's going to work their ass off? Because I believe wholeheartedly, and I learned this from this guy, Glenn, who ran the accelerator that we went to, startups don't die, founders quit. And I'm not quitting. So I want people who are not going to quit alongside me. And the best way to see that is to work with these people. And so, yeah, if you can get along during work hours, yeah, you take this to, look, I'm not afraid to admit it, a couple glasses of rosé, right? You find your way after work, you go to happy hours and you start talking, and you have to incept a little bit, right? Because they've got a good job. Yeah. They've got a real paycheck. Yeah. So how can we turn this into their idea? And then lo and behold, 2 years later, Evan and Brian both left good paying jobs to come join me.
Another insight that I think would be fascinating, because a lot of folks that listen to this are operators and brand people, franchisors, founders. There's some folks that we both know, obviously, on the tech side as well, on the vendor side. But, I think something that's not well known is a lot of startups, especially in the tech world, they start with one idea and they evolve and they try and they test, and they either fail, or timing's not right, or the audience isn't as big or whatever. But there's this sort of, as you said, zig and zag. There's sort of this crazy dance that goes on. And then all of a sudden you land on the thing we know. And Mar-KEE is Mar-KEE today, but Mar-KEE wasn't always Mar-KEE. You already said that. And that's a pretty common story. Tell us how that goes. Again, inside baseball, a little behind the curtain. What did this start off as, and how did it end up as Mar-KEE?
Well, I have a tremendous passion for hospitality in this industry. My heart always will live with these independent operators. These are the people who they have dreams, they have passion, they're betting everything to bring this idea to life. So when I left to start Mar-KEE, it was, how can I help this group of people? How can I connect more 1 and 2 location independent restaurants with consumers, with people who are looking and ready to buy and searching for something? And so my assumption, which I still think holds, doesn't matter who you are, you have a special. Everyone has a special. Not a discount, not a special. It doesn't matter if you're a high-end restaurant with fish of the day, goat cheese, arugula salad, or hair of the dog in the Lower East Side with $5 Tuesday you call it. Everybody has a special. I go to Uchi in Austin, they've got a special fish flown in for that day only. So let's help get those specials out. And the way we had it set up was we created an iOS app where you no longer need to create content. Your food is your content. Let's take a photo. We're going to throw in whatever that item is, that special item, push go, and it's going to connect to our publisher network. This special will be blasted on Google and Yelp and Bing and Apple Maps and everywhere the consumers are searching, so that you're getting alongside this normal consumer behavior of dinner near me, lunch near me, but they're seeing the special, right? Let's get it out there. And we made dozens of dollars doing this. And look, we got some great early adopters on there. We were probably in about 100 locations, and we signed. I had been working at a Gregory's Coffee on 23rd and Park Ave in New York, and I had been just for about a year there. And I was like, I need to talk to whoever's running digital ops here. Like, this is a 20 location business. Let's go a little higher here, because it felt, again, it's local, it's New York. I knew it was all one guy, Gregory, owning it, and they ended up signing on and doing some specials. And this guy Gary, who was running ops there, says, specials are cool, but you know what's cooler? Menu data. We're really struggling with our menus. So if you can update specials, can you update menus? And we had this just light bulb moment
Yeah.
of, hell yeah, we can.
How many places do you exist on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm. So we started restructuring menu data so that we found out, right, again, everyone's point of sale is different, but everyone also has different structured data. Toast and Square are two different structures that can't both transfer to Google menu data. You have to restructure. And so we started building this universal tool to take menu data from your source of truth and publish it out everywhere that menus can go as part of this organic discovery search. Not talking third-party delivery sites. Organic, dinner near me, lunch near me behavior. And that was kind of the first zig as we started going deeper and deeper and figuring out, what else can we automate? What else can we take from a manual to an automation to an integration? And that's where the tech stack integrations really started to fly. So Gregory's Coffee was our first zig, and we've been zagging ever since.
That's a pretty fascinating story. And it's not just menu data. It's hours of operation, phone numbers, emails. There's a whole science to that. We'll get into that a little bit here in a minute. Let's talk about a couple of topics that I think you know something about. I think our audience will be interested in. I think it's kind of some stuff that matters that I've decided to jot down here. So let's talk about guest feedback, because that's a part of the area that you play in. So how engaging with guest feedback and reviews, how is that a big opportunity for independent, small chain, large chain to really just, play in this hospitality mindset outside of the four walls? How do we personalize or digitize hospitality outside of the four walls of our restaurant?
Yeah. I mean, look, first, when you talk about independent versus multi-unit versus 100 locations, 1,000, whatever it is, it's the same difficult problem. There's just more of it, right? So just because you have one location or two location, reviews are still this overwhelming behemoth in front of you, and they might even be more personal to you too, right? I think when you look at reviews, it is so important to engage in a manner that you would in store, on premise. I'm not going to say to you, just, Troy leaves this incredible review. The service was incredible. The bathrooms were pristine. The pizza was top notch, best I've ever had. I'm not just going to say, thank you. Hey, I'm so glad to hear that. Who'd you work with? Who'd you speak with? What pizza did you get? What topping did you, right? You're going to engage a little bit. Reviews are free content. It is a free opportunity for you to show the world how you handle things as an operator. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And think of it, put your consumer hat on. When I'm doing research for a restaurant, right? And look, my wife and I, we have two kids. To leave the door, to walk out of my house is $100 before I even order anything, right? I got to have a babysitter. So I'm doing extensive research. I'm not just, flying by the seat of my pants here, right? We're looking at reviews. I want to see bad reviews. I want to see what mistakes happened and how did the team handle it? Because again, it's going to happen. It's okay. Make a mistake, but make it once and address it. And so as an operator, you have an opportunity to show the world how you think, what you care about, and then from the marketing and local SEO side of the house, I mean, again, free content. You're working on an LTO, right? Pepper Lunch might be the only thing without a pumpkin spice item right now. Thank God, keep it up. But here's your chance to talk about it, right? Going back to Gregory's, right now it's, hey, so glad you had a great time, Troy, and had a regular experience. Make sure you come back and try our fall oat boy latte. You're layering in keywords, you're layering in LTOs. This is the opportunity to take advantage of this moment and get something out there that's strategic, that's thoughtful, and shows that you care.
Yeah, I mean, worst case is the common case, which is zero engagement. I mean, the restaurant just doesn't even bother. I've said you said it almost exactly as I've always said it. I've coached a lot of restaurant operators and founders and managers, and very commonly say, the last impression is the only impression. when I leave a restaurant and there's 5 hosts behind the host stand and they're chit-chatting or on their phones or doing something else, and nobody can bother to look up and say, hey, thanks for coming in. Have a great night. Right? Just completely ignore me. It's sort of the same thing, right? Leave a review, good, bad, or indifferent, or a mix. Most reviews are actually a mix, and get no response or no engagement. To your point, when I'm looking at reviews, when I'm looking at a new restaurant, I look at the reviews and there's no engagement. Well, okay, they just don't even care, right? There's not even paying attention to their own business. And to your point, if you did a table touch or you were the manager at the door and somebody stopped and said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, how would you handle that in real life? You're right. You got to handle that online because that's where people are and that's where they feel comfortable communicating now. Right. And they're probably going to lie to you at the table touch and then go online and tell you the truth. So I think it's a huge opportunity. And you said something in there that kind of led to my next question, which is really about expectations. When I go on a review site, whether it's Google or Yelp or Facebook or whatever, and I usually look at the pictures first. Funny enough, I look at the menu. Is there something on that menu I can eat? Is there 3 or 4 things on that menu I might want? Great. I look at the pictures of the inside. It's really funny. I want to know what the ambiance is. I want to have a sense of the feel of the place. What am I in the mood for, right? Is it a sports bar? Is it a, Mexican restaurant? Is it, quiet Italian spot? Are there white cloths on the tables? That tells you a lot, right? So you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, and then reviews is part of that, but it's not the only thing, right? I look at reviews, throw out the 1-1, throw out the top 5s.
Yep.
And you're really looking at those 4s and 4.5s, right?
100%.
But it's really about setting expectations.
Yeah, 100%. And people think, oh, I only want 5 stars. I would rather go to a 600 review count 4-star than 150 count 5-star because no one's 5 stars.
Right.
What's going on?
Velocity, volume matters, right?
Yeah.
I actually said it to my wife the other night. I was like, check this place out. 4.7, 1,500 reviews. Because if it was incredible. A 4.7 and 7 reviews, that's 7 friends.
Mm-hmm. 100 exactly. And it's funny to hear you talk about expectations because that's how we'll always talk about it internally at Mar-KEE is reviews are purely the results of expectation setting. I have had more than I'd like to admit 2 a.m. dollar slices of pizza in New York from Two Brothers, 5 stars every time, right? It's a dollar slice at 2 a.m. It is exactly what it is supposed to be. The only way it's bad is if it's closed, right? That's it. But when you go somewhere and you've done your research and you look at their menu and it's on Google, and my wife is celiac and they have a gluten-free menu and she picks an item and you show up and that menu's different. Well, now I wasted my time doing the research. I'm excited. I wanted to try this. And, that's a bad expectation setting. It's just a result of expectations.
Yeah. And look, I think there's 2 sides to that. There's the expectation that the owner, operator, founder creates in their own content and their own imagery and their own words. But then there's the reality, so to speak, of what the consumer says. And the best case scenario is that the consumer is raving about it was everything I expected it to be. I love that. I love to see those mentions of it was better than I thought it would be. I'll give an example. It's a fun little story. I've been wanting to go to this restaurant for like 6 months. We found it by accident, I think on Yelp, best breakfast near me kind of a thing. And it is a breakfast restaurant on the tarmac of a regional airport. Okay? It is not the environment. Like it's a warehouse building up against the runway where parked planes are of a private, regional sized airport. And who the hell would ever think, right? Like growing up, going out to Islip and stuff, the 93rd Air Squadron, 94th Air Squadron, whatever. Okay. Those were unique things, but who would have thought? And this thing is 4,934,000 reviews. Everybody in town talks about it. There's a line out the door when we get there. And I'm like, what? If I showed you the drive up to this restaurant, you'd be like, this is not, where are we going? What is going on here? Holy crap. Was the food amazing. The service was incredible. They solved for volume. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to a breakfast restaurant where you place the order at the host stand?
No.
Fast casual. It's a full service restaurant, but they're so busy.
That's brilliant.
That they give you a menu while you wait in line. You place the order at the host stand and then they seat you, right? And they basically assign you a table. They seat you. And in about 5.5 minutes, chicken and waffles and pancakes and this massive, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. And I'm sitting on the runway of a regional airport, and there's 300 people, and there's a line out the door. The place is packed. The service was unbelievable. The friendliness of the service, and you're just like, I would have never in my life come to this place if not for the raving fans online talking about, please don't discount this place because where it is, it's an anomaly of all anomalies. It's the hidden gem of gems. You got to go. It will blow your mind. And you're just like, okay, expectation set. Let's see. Unbelievable.
And
but,
it helped.
By the way, back to this 4-point whatever. I've seen several like little studies or comments. I think you probably know this better than most. A 4.7 or 4.8 is believable. A 5.0 is not. A 5.0 is almost as bad as like a 3.9 because nobody believes that 5.0 is real because nobody's perfect, right?
Mm-hmm. To us, right, at Mar-KEE, when we talk about reviews, you have to have a strategy because it's overwhelming. There's a lot, right? And your strategy is what's going to make you win or lose or win or break when you implement this with your team and everything. Your ones and your fives, yes, of course you want to engage. But if you have to cherry pick, if you're like, okay, I'm getting 4,000 reviews a month, I have an hour every Monday to knock stuff out. Focus on your 3s and 4s. Focus on your 2s, 3s, and 4s. Those are the ones where there's needle moving capabilities. Your 2s and your 3s, they chose to come spend time and money with you. Fix it. Get in there. Figure out a way to make it better. Because I can tell you, we have in our own data, people are updating. People are going back. We just did a panel at FS Tech, and we had a Yelp Elite reviewer talking about why she has updated reviews in the past, right? And people see this and they think that, oh, I just 2 stars, what the hell? It's an opportunity, not only for that person, but more importantly, for your Troys and Avis who are looking for breakfast near me, doing some research, looking at your 3s, your 2s and 3s, seeing something and seeing that the restaurant said, hey, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. This isn't how we normally operate. We're going to get this taken care of. Thank you, right? That goes a long way for future consumers. Because again, what I hear from your story is that you went online and you looked up something near me, breakfast near me, breakfast in this area. And that is consumer
I
behavior.
put best in front of it. Best breakfast. I want to know what is the best breakfast according to the consumer, right?
And going back to reviews, if you type in best anything in Google, you'll see the automatic filter of 4 and above. If it has less than 4 stars, they're not showing you in best. Not 5, 4.
So we've danced around it a little bit. Give us a real clear picture of what Mar-KEE is today. What does it do for the independent or any size restaurant? Give us that quick infomercial rundown, bullet point list of, because it's not just review based, it's not just listings based, but you do quite a few things. Talk a little bit about that.
We're your digital operations tool, right? We're here to help you run faster as you're operating your business, whether it's updating your menu data, your hours of operation, your photos on all the publishers you need to be on. Google, Yelp, Bing, Apple Maps, everywhere, right? So that when you make an update in Toast, that update's going to go to all of your publisher locations, all of the places that your business needs to show this correct data. We're integrating with all the major review sites from Google, Yelp, Facebook, OpenTable, EasyCater, Uber Eats, Grubhub, giving you one place to manage all of your reviews. And of course, analytics. You got to see the organic discovery searches going up, right? You want to show that your marketing team, what we're doing on our local SEO is working. We're seeing more organic searches. We're showing up more for breakfast near me. All of this goes together to help you run a more efficient business, 1 location or 1,000 locations. It's hard. It's hard. And when we talk about a review strategy, you have to have all this in one place, looking at your data, enabling you to run faster when you have that 1 hour on Monday to knock out a bunch of review responses in a meaningful way. So yeah, we're here. We're modular. So we're here to solve real pain points. Listings is an issue. Let's talk listings. Reviews are your pain point. Let's talk reviews, right? We're here to make sure that we're your partner and not a vendor. And that's a big thing we talk about. We are hospitality for hospitality industry. And it's cheesy, but man, that's how we'd like to operate.
Yeah, I think all your people that I know live it pretty out loud pretty well. One thing I want to leave a little tip or trick here. I think a lot of restaurant operators at all levels don't realize your restaurant exists in many places that you didn't put it, right? There are these sort of relisting sites and these capture sites that display and distribute your content, and especially if you're very active, you're going to get sort of caught in that net. As far as like if you have blogs or your website's really active, et cetera, you're going to get relisted, and your information exists out there, and it may not be accurate. It may be outdated, right? It might have gotten listed by a service or a system that you weren't even aware of, or one of your employees or managers may have signed you up for something and said, click yes on this box, and it just listed you, and you don't realize it. And so if that information is not up to date and kept contemporary, then it's counting against you in this thing you call SEO, right? And search engine optimization, which is important. It's important that your data is accurate everywhere. And I think that's one of the core points that Mar-KEE was founded on, is helping us make sure that A, we're aware of where all of our stuff lives. B, we understand how we sort of score in the ecosystem of the internet that puts our information out there, right?
You said it perfectly, right? Accurate data and relevant content is what moves the needle in local SEO. It's a big puzzle. Mar-KEE will help be a big part of that puzzle, right? But it's never too late to start thinking about it, to start working on it, to start having a three-pronged approach. You're launching an LTO. Well, let's make sure we get a photo captioned on all the publisher sites. Let's make sure that every review response is mentioning that LTO, right? And let's make sure your menu is updated on all these sites. So again, it's about strategy. It's about making sure when you do something, you do it well and loud.
And you do it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Equally for everything. Exactly. Avi, I know a little bit about you and the company. I know a little bit of some of your players in your team, and something that's been pretty obvious to me. And I've heard you talk about this a lot, that hospitality matters within your company. And one of the thesis of this show is to highlight the fact that every business should be in the hospitality business. We're all in the people business, but we all should be in the hospitality business. That's leveling up the people business quite substantially. Talk a little bit about, as a SaaS software product company providing a service to the hospitality industry, how do you bring hospitality and build hospitality culture within a tech company?
So before I even get to that, I want to say why I think this way. I remember very clearly in 2015, my wife returned something to Zappos. It was an awful experience. She gets on the phone with support, and the support person goes, "Hey, we're going to take care of this right now, and also pick a number. Pick a number." She goes, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Just pick a number." She said, 32. I'm sending you a coupon for 32% off your next order. And when you started digging into that, Tony Hsieh, the former CEO, his philosophy was, we're not a shoe company. We're a customer support company selling shoes. And that truly resonated with me, because again, when I think about hospitality, it's service, it's comfort, it's going that extra mile. And I knew, and I saw it at Yelp, where support wavered a bit. Sometimes you had a good support, sometimes you had a bad support. I saw it at my enterprise tech company I was at, where sometimes you got a good rep and a good experience, bad experience. I wanted every experience at Mar-KEE to be that highest level of support. And so when we talk about pillars of this company, support is a foundation, a pillar. It's what we do. You have to love restaurants to work here. You have to, ideally, you've worked in again, most of our team has been in restaurants, because you have to understand the why. And when we talk about like the company culture and the retreats and what we do, we just had a company onsite. We do one every September. 2 years ago was Setting the Table by Danny Meyer. Last year was Unreasonable Hospitality, right? And the takeaways from that, and we talk about it a lot, is especially from Unreasonable Hospitality, was raindrops make oceans. Those extra steps, those little things, the proactive versus reactive, is so important. I don't want you to think on July 5th, I didn't update my hours. I want you to get an email from us on June 25th, reminding you, alerting you, making sure this is happening, right? I want you to know that we're thinking about you and that we care. And it is so important. It's why, again, coming off this last onsite in September, hospitality for the hospitality industry, our team needs to be thinking that we are the service. We are the wait staff. We're here to help. We want to be that team member and that brand extension for you. And that we want to give the people who are usually working their asses off in restaurants an opportunity to put their feet up for a second and to not think about, and I'll just say, to not think about this shit. Because again, no one started a restaurant to do this. And so let us take it off your plate. Let us be that person for you. And we're going to care about it like it's our own, because man, we're consumers. We want that good stuff out there. We want you to be found. We want that for you. And I think it's felt. Can we always do better? Absolutely. But when we get that feedback from whether it's one of our 100 location clients or our 1 and 2s that are still working with us, man, it's a good feeling because that's what we're here for.
Well, I'll say this about you guys. You've been in business almost 9 years, and if you were full of shit, it would have come out already. So I think you guys are only getting more lovey-dovey. I mean, we're only getting more hugs and kisses. I got a bottle of bourbon from one of your very important employees because I didn't make a bourbon tasting. I had something come up, and I actually had a flight change situation, and so I missed a bourbon tasting that I was invited to because I was coming to Denver, and she lives in Denver, and she's like, "If you're coming to Denver, I need to show you. I need to treat you." I mean, just pure hospitality, and it had nothing to do with selling me. It had nothing to do with building a relationship on the foundation of an account. It just was. I want to show you some hospitality, and that runs true, and everything you say, I think, is lived out loud and evident.
I love to hear
Avi,
that.
we wrap up these conversations with maybe a couple of interesting facts, silly questions, or whatever. Remind everybody exactly where you live because it's going to be pertinent to your answers.
So I am physically in Austin, Texas, emotionally in Brooklyn, but physically in Austin, Texas.
Okay, so this is going to be very confusing and hard for you to answer. Okay, so we're coming to your town. Now we have to challenge you as to what that means to you. We're coming to your town, and where is the one place you have to take somebody to eat?
Okay. New York is where I eat. Like, we opened an office in New York, and I'm so excited to go for 3 days and just work and eat. So New York that's where I'm taking you. So there's a place that is, I mean, this isn't where I take people I like. It's where I take people that I love. And it's Astoria Seafood on 33rd Street. It's BYOB. It is, I mean, I almost want to cry just thinking about it. It is my place. This is where if I could celebrate birthdays, we've talked about renewing our vows there. I mean, this is where it is. I would go there over Disney World. I mean, this is my place. It is so it's a Greek family that they used to run a fish market, a seafood market. And I think 2 generations ago, they said, we need to turn this into a restaurant. And you got 2 options. You can get your items grilled or fried. And you go, there's this huge wall. You go with multiple plastic bags, and you pick your fish, you take your shrimp, whatever you want. You want 3 fried shrimp, that's up to you. It's all BYOB. There is this one Greek woman where if she was not there, the whole place would fall apart. She is organizing everything. And it is just, it's again, that is Astoria Seafood on 33rd Street, where dreams come true. That is where I'm taking you for the time of your life.
All right, Avi, when I come to New York, I'll cut you a deal. You take me there, and then have you ever been to Lindustry in Williamsburg?
I have, and I will go there with you any day.
I happen to know the owner a little bit. I know people who know him even better than I know him. Lindustry is the greatest pizza slice I've ever crunched on in my life. If you're in New York, it's worth the wait. If you know somebody, you skip the line, which is unfair to everybody, but I'm happy to do it because I want to get in there and blast away on some insane pizza.
I mean, it's been years. I'm due for a new visit. I've had quite a few pizzas since. I'm ready. I'm in.
Well, do me a favor. Go to the new one and let me know if it's as good as the original, but the original's amazing. All right, Avi, I got to put you on the spot, though, because you live in Austin, tech capital center of the country. I'm going to put you on the spot. I fly into Austin on occasion, and I've had some pretty good barbecue. Which barbecue spot do you take me to when I land in Austin?
So this is going to maybe hurt some feelings to people here in Austin.
That's why I asked it.
I'm taking you to my backyard. I make the best smoked turkey in Austin.
Oh my God.
If you give me a week's notice, I'll smoke you a pastrami.
Oh my God.
I'll smoke you a
I did not see
pastrami.
that coming.
I got for our wedding anniversary last year, and my wife was like, this is not our wedding anniversary gift. My parents sent us a deli slicer.
Wow. Hello.
So you give me a week's notice, smoked turkey and pastrami in my backyard. We also do dino ribs. Moly. I mean, you name it. But I
am holding you to that.
Hands down.
I am holding you to that, my friend.
Hands down.
I've got to be in Elgin, Texas a couple times over the next few months. I'm going to come through Austin. I'm holding you to that. Fantastic answer. All right, Avi, how can people find you? Find Mar-KEE, Marqii, the solutions partner for solving problems in your restaurant. How do we find you?
Come to our website, marqii.com. We're at all the shows, RLC, Pizza Expo, National Restaurant Show, you name it. Honestly, if you just come around Austin and start yelling Mar-KEE, someone will come out and find you. Instagram, LinkedIn, all the places. Just type in MARQII into almost anything, and you will find us.
That's one thing about having a unique name, right? Hard to get mixed up with other things. Fantastic. Avi, it's been a great conversation. Appreciate you coming on the show. Look forward to seeing you out on the circuit again soon.
Appreciate it, Troy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to The Pineapple Perspective. If you loved today's episode, leave a review and a 5-star rating. I look forward to welcoming you back next time.